Hey everybody, welcome back to another Morphogen product breakdown. So I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm excited to do this one because this is a brand new product. So there's actually been several new products launching. I've been waiting to get this in because I wanted to do a breakdown on this product specifically, at least of the new products that have come out. So this is Bliss. Okay, so this is an interesting product because it's kind of bridges the gap between things like calm and adaptogen and some of these other adrenal support and cortisol support and neurochemical support type of supplements. So this product is really neither sedative or stimulatory. It does act on some neurochemicals that may be considered inhibitory or stimulatory, but the nature of the product is that it should be pretty smooth and it should really complement any kind of other supplements that someone's taking for cognition or for mood, and it should work pretty well with just about anything, whether you want to use it in the evening, whether you want to take it during the daytime, whether you want to take it in the morning with stimulants, without stimulants. So it should work pretty well in pretty much all those scenarios. So let's go into the ingredients. I'm going to talk about each ingredient here and kind of go over what they are and how this all ties together. So first off in the product is vitamin D3, which doesn't really need a lot of explanation. There's actually 4,000 IUs in here. So we know vitamin D3 is important for cognition. It is important for well-being and has a lot of other biological and physiological functions. So the next product or the next ingredient here is chamomile. So chamomile is usually found in tea, like the chamomile teas. It's a very relaxing product. It will not be sedative in the sense that it's necessarily going to make you fall asleep. It will definitely be calming and does tend to improve sleep quality and is known for its antidepressant effects. So in here, we're looking at 350 milligrams of chamomile. Next is Johns Wort. So a lot of you probably have heard this. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't. So Johns Wort is generally considered to have more of an SSRI effect, so a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, but it also is somewhat of a dopamine reuptake inhibitor too. So basically what that means is that we're able to utilize those neurochemicals longer. Okay, so in theory, this should cause less depression, right? Better mood, better cognition. This is a pretty widely known ingredient. It's been used for a really long time. There's a lot of literature on it. So this is a pretty cool ingredient to include in this product. There's 200 milligrams in here. And one thing to note about this product is it doesn't really hammer any one pathway extremely heavily. It's not like some other products where, maybe like Calm, for example, that's hitting you with a higher dose of phosphatidylserine or a higher dose of theanine, for the GABAergic effects or anything like that. That's not really the point of this product. It's really more so to elevate all of these areas and create a really euphoric, smooth environment. Next up is Velvet Bean Extract, 125 milligrams. So this will contain L-Dopa, right? So it's a precursor to dopamine. It's going to raise dopamine levels and should, eventually convert into adrenaline levels. Now, this is going to complement some of the more serotonin-based ingredients because it's going to give some of that elevation, right? It's going to give some of that dopamine spike. It's going to give some of that motivation, right, that you're going to get with dopamine. So again, creating that entire euphoric environment. Next is OEA. OEA is interesting because it does have some antidepressive effects, but it also has some satiating effects to it as well. So the literature suggests that it may actually increase satiety and make you want to eat less, make you feel satisfied. So that is going to be, a great addition to any type of dieting phase or any type of dieting attempt, which this product would work really well in, of course. So we're looking at 100 milligrams of that ingredient specifically in Bliss. Next one is Sammy. So Sammy, there's 100 milligrams of Sammy here. Now Sammy is a methyl donor. So a lot of you probably heard of me talk about methylation. It will facilitate that process. So with methylation and with that process comes the metabolism of neurochemicals. So this is going to be basically a antidepressive ingredient, a mood elevating ingredient. Now, this is pretty well documented to have those effects, but it also doesn't cause a lot of the ill effects of antidepressants, like, you know, weight gain, water retention, or make you like tired. That's, again, not the point of the product to make you tired or overly stimulated. It should really smooth things out. So Sammy, pretty cool addition to the product. I'm actually really excited to see that in here. So next one is Anandamide. This actually has nothing to do with, or very little to do with, the serotonin side of things. It may help you restore serotonin levels, but it actually is acting on the cannabinoid system. So some of you maybe heard of the endocannabinoid system. So this is acting on some of those receptors. There are several. There's CB1, CB2. There are multiple receptors in that system. So it's going to activate those receptors and facilitate the activity of that system. So we are looking at 50 milligrams specifically of that product. This would be like having an endocannabinoid product, or a CBD almost, if you will, in the product. Next one is Cava. Cava is pretty cool. So it's an MAO inhibitor. Now, this is going to allow you to use the dopamine in your body longer. Again, motivation, reward system, where a lot of us are kind of are dopamine seeking individuals. So MAO inhibitor will complement those behaviors and allow us to gain motivation and gain pleasure from a lot of our activities, right? So in the product, we are looking at 50 milligrams, and then we're going to move on to Kana Extract, which is another SSRI type ingredient. So this is going to complement the St. Johns Wort. It's also going to be a monoamine releasing ingredient. So if any of you are familiar with monoamines, we're talking about things like dopamine again, right? This is going to be kind of another two-pronged ingredient that's going to help us with dopaminergic effect and help us with serotonin. And we are going to get, again, an elevating, smooth, euphoric type of feeling. Last ingredient in here is 50 milligrams of 5-HTP, which is a precursor to serotonin. A little bit more of a common ingredient, a lot of people are probably familiar with, but this is a serotonin precursor, right? Some of the ingredients are more of an SSRI effect. We're talking about metabolism or inhibition of metabolism of the neurotransmitter. In this case, we're actually talking about making more of it. You know, the way that these antidepressant type ingredients work, or just antidepressants in general, is a lot of them are kind of inhibiting breakdown, whereas in this case, we're actually increasing production as well. Or I should say, we are giving our bodies something that's going to allow it to convert to serotonin, which is the precursor 5-HTP. So there's 50 milligrams here. So again, that is the whole label. There's 3 capsule serving. I actually tried a serving today. Took it around probably noon. I tend to have, I would call it maybe a little bit of a slump right there. Nothing too terrible, but I tend to have a little bit of a dip right there. I'm really busting it from 6 a.m. to noon. Lots of emails, lots of stimulation with the work. And then it's time to train, and I need to recharge. So I actually took it there and noticed exactly what you would expect, which is somewhat of an elevation, nothing drastic, but a very smooth effect. And actually, I would even go as far as to say, like, less anxiety, probably less caring about things that I didn't need to be worrying about at that time. So it did what I would expect it to do based on the ingredient profile. I'm going to be curious to try the product in some different contexts, like with a stimulant or in the evening with some adaptogen in the morning, and kind of experiment with how I like to implement it into my schedule, and of course with clients as well. But that is the new Bliss 3 capsule serving. It is live on the site. You guys can check that out. Feel free to use my code DATA, the number 4. Talk to you guys soon.